Good afternoon, everyone. I am Malehlwa Francina Maluke. I am a master's student at the Central University of Technology, Bloemfontein campus in Free State in the Faculty of Education. My topic is factors affecting numeracy readiness of grade R learners in selected primary schools in Malehlwa district in the Free State province. Introduction and background. According to the South African Journal of Childhood Education 2018, the National Report 2012 dealing with the state of literacy teaching and learning in the foundation year phase and the National Curriculum Statement on Assessment Guide 2007, it was found that numeracy readiness is a serious problem among the grade R learners in South Africa. CAPS, which is Curriculum Assessment Policy Statement of 2012, also confirmed the above findings. The Wiley Handbook of Early Childhood Care and Education of 2019 agrees with the Encyclopedia of Early Childhood Development of 2017 that despite considerable progress in the studies conducted on school readiness and language readiness among grade R learners in public schools in South Africa, numeracy readiness among grade R learners in public schools continue to face little research. According to the National Report of 2012 on the state of literacy teaching and learning in the foundation phase from the beginning of the South Africa New Dispensation, more learners are now attending grade R classes in South Africa than ever before. Furthermore, statistics from the National Report 2012 show that there are 162 primary schools in Malehlwa Education District with 8,835 grade R learners. In addition, there are also 53 sites on private property which accommodate 11,800 grade R learners who are subsidized by the Department of Education. If you can check, there are more learners who are attending private accommodations in terms of grade R, and there are less learners who are attending grade R in our ordinary public schools. This shows that really it is a problem. And I visited 3 primary schools, 2 township schools, 1 former Malehlwa school, whereby I found out that teachers in grade R were complaining, were crying that the HODs in the foundation phase are forcing them to do curriculum, whereas grade R learners are not supposed to write, are not supposed to read. Instead, they learn through play. But these teachers in foundation phase, which are HODs, do not want learners in grade R to play while they are learning. And they want them when they go to grade 1 to know how to read and to know how to write, which is unfair for the curriculum, which is unfair also for the economy of this country, because if these learners in grade R are pumped with information of grade 1, they are not going to make it. Their brains are going to be overwhelmed. They are really going to be tired in the early grades of their schooling. And I visited this former Malehlwa schools, which was wonderful. I really became overwhelmed, whereby I found out that teachers also are qualified to be in grade R. They are furthering their studies, and they are studying with universities to prosper themselves in terms of teaching grade Rs, and learners were learning through play. And I was overwhelmed. I was happy. And I said to myself, this study will really worth to be researched. Education White Paper 6, Education White Paper on Early Childhood Development 2017 argues that the increase in the number of grade R learners attending school, coupled with the lack of potential or resources for successful completion of the reception year, have aggravated the problem of numeracy readiness. The Wiley Handbook of Early Childhood Care and Education 2019 observed that in addition to being chronically undeserved, children are not being served equitably. In some contexts, children from historically undeserved groups experience disproportionality in special education and evidenced by lack of educational facilities and resources. The very same township schools that I visited, one I found out that there is a mama, I'll call a mama because she's not qualified to be a teacher in grade R. She was 60 years old. She couldn't even play with these children. She was just sitting there, sending them, so and so, go and bring me water, go and bring whatever. And to me, it was unfair for the system. Again, continue with the introduction. It is therefore clear that this study intends to investigate the factors impacting the reception year learners, resulting in poor levels of numeracy readiness. The conceptual framework of the proposed study aims to answer questions on the why and the how of the factors impacting the numeracy readiness of the grade R learners. STEM and Newton 2015 agree with DeForce, Stradom, Fauchier, and Delport of 2014, and Badenhorst 2010 that the conceptual framework reflects the main set of ideas to be investigated by the study. In addition, Badenhorst 2010 states that the conceptual framework also determines the questions to be answered by the study. Education White Paper on Early Childhood Development 2017 argues that the increase in the number of grade R learners attending school, coupled with the lack of potential of or resources for successful completion of the reception year, have aggravated the problem of numeracy readiness. I think I repeated the slide. Okay. Problem statement. On the one hand, numeracy is one of the exact sciences whose propositions are capable of conclusive proof and demonstration, Newton and Rustem 2015. On the other hand, numeracy readiness is regarded as the basis of all our later forms of calculation, Cooper 2017. It is therefore clear that a strong foundation is needed for numeracy readiness, Cooper 2017 and Rustem and Newton 2015. Problem statement continues. In other words, the reception year must be a strong foundation for the National School Effectiveness Center for Development and Enterprise of 2013. Annual National Assessment on Numeracy, that is ANA, of 2014 agrees with trends in international mathematics and science study, which is TIMSS 2011, that South Africa's recent participation in the regional, continental, and international studies has shown that South African grade R learners perform badly in numeracy when contrasted with other same-level learners in the United States of America and other European nations. As a result, Minister of Basic Education, namely Malehlwa, added that low achievement levels in numeracy are unacceptable because they reduce chances of success in further learning, Malehlwa 2015. It is therefore clear that there is a problem with numeracy readiness among grade R learners in South Africa. There is a consensus between ANA 2014 and TIMSS 2011 that despite the reception year being launchpad for excellence in mathematics, grade R learners find it difficult to recognize patterns, number patterns, sequence, that is to arrange number blocks sequentially, that is either numerically increasing or numerically decreasing. Problem statement continues. Education White Paper on Early Childhood Development of 2017 advised that the reception year learner should be able to recognize colors painted on the number and letter blocks. In addition, grade R learners should be able to build towers based on numbers and or letters of the alphabet. Another unintended consequence of the inefficiency of the current reception year education is the financial burden placed on the fiscals as a result of this fruitless. When we come to colors, I have also find out that children whom we clothe bright colors such as red, such as white, such as light blue, they are easily to understand numeracy. And I also found out that children who grow without shoes, when they are still little, we need not to put shoes on them, because the walking on barefoot helps them to have a strong stimuli on their feet, and that helps them to have very good mathematical concepts. Subsequent to the low numeracy achievement levels of South African learners, there is a necessity to conduct this study in public schools in the Lejoliputswa district in order to investigate the problems of grade R learners, the roles of grade R educators in creating a favorable environment for learning numeracy, and to assess the perceptions of the parents of grade R learners regarding the education of their children. Again here, when it comes to parents of grade R learners, I also found out that in one of the articles that children who grow up on their back of their mothers, especially our African mothers, they like to put children on their backs. It is very difficult for those children to have mathematical concepts well, because their world is only the back of the mother. They cannot explore any world except the back of their mom. So those children are also encountering problems in terms of mathematical concepts. Before Straydom, Foshier, and Delport 2014 advises that the importance and necessity of conducting a qualitative study are that their findings have greater validity and less artificiality, as the process of observing the participants in natural, real-life settings often allows researchers to develop a more accurate understanding of the participants based on the conceptual framework, that is, grade R learners and numeracy readiness. As a result, this proposed qualitative research will reveal the depth of understanding and richness of the findings pertaining to the numeracy readiness of the reception year learners. Thesis statement. Of utmost importance, numeracy readiness of grade R learners is crucial for their continued analytical and mathematical readiness. However, some researchers argue that grade R learners exhibit low levels of numeracy readiness, even though it is a well-known fact that numeracy readiness is important for grade R learners because it will enhance both of their analytical and mathematical skills. Purpose of the study. The primary purpose of the study is to investigate which factors affect numeracy readiness of grade R learners in selected primary schools in the Free State Province. The secondary purpose is to understand the empowerment strategies pertaining to the grade R learners, which educators and parents should apply, for example, types of play. Diet is very important, clothing, as I said before, and general care of grade R learners. Literature review. According to the National Report 2012 on the state of literacy teaching and learning in the foundation phase, from the beginning of the South African new dispensation, more learners are now attending grade R classes in South Africa than ever before. Statistics show that there are 162 primary schools in the Lejoliputswa Education District with 8,835 grade R learners. In addition, there are also 53 sites on private property which accommodate 11,800 grade R learners who are subsidized by the Department of Education. Education White Paper on Early Childhood Development 2017 argues that the increase in the number of grade R learners attending school, coupled with the lack of potential or resources for successful completion of the reception year phase, have aggravated the problem of numeracy readiness. Also, the Wiley Handbook of Early Childhood Care and Education 2019 observed that in addition to being chronically undeserved, children are not being served equitably. In some contexts, children from historically undeserved groups experience disproportionality in special education, as evidenced by lack of educational facilities and resources. Research question: What factors influence or affect numeracy readiness of reception year learners? Sub-questions. Most research questions are too large or too complex to answer without subdividing them. Liddy, PD, and Ormond, JE 2015. The strategy, therefore, is to divide and conquer, hence the following sub-questions. How do educators approach numeracy in the reception year? B, what are the obstacles or challenges experienced in developing numeracy readiness? C, how do these obstacles or challenges impact on numeracy readiness? It is clear that each sub-question is a completely researchable unit. Moreover, answers to each sub-question will add up to the answer to the research question. Conceptual framework. The conceptual framework of the proposed study includes grade R learners and numeracy readiness. Rootstern and Newton 2015 agree with DeForce, Stradom, Fauci, and Delport 2014, and Badenhorst 2010 that the conceptual framework reflects the main set of ideas to be investigated by the study. In addition, Badenhorst 2010 states that the conceptual framework also determines the questions to be answered by the study. Research methodology. This study will adopt a qualitative research approach, questionnaires to grade R teachers, interview grade R teachers, target one former Model C school and one township school in Welkom, Free State. All grade R learners in both selected schools, all grade R teachers in both selected schools. I will apply for permission for conduct research in schools from the Free State Department of Education. I will use a tape recorder to record participants during the interviews, data analysis, tape recorder transcription, questionnaire data arrangement and reorder, sort and organize, data coding, data categorization, thematic analysis, data interpretation. Then this is bibliography. I thank you.